Well, hey, you, and welcome back to another episode of the Western Hippie Podcast. I'm your host, Michaela, and I have Tank and Willard the Corgi here with me today. And today, I had something that's been on my heart, and I wanted to jump on the mic and share this with you because this perspective shift helped me so much. I'm a Virgo, and I say that because even people who aren't really into astrology, don't believe in astrology, know the cliche of Virgos being the perfectionist, kind of the nitpicky ones of the zodiac sign. And that has very much been true for me. I always considered myself a perfectionist. I always considered myself who had very high expectations of detail. And whenever I'm doing something, I hold myself to a ridiculous standard. And I remember listening to someone on a podcast one time say, the host was actually admiring the guest, which is the person I'm referring to, about how their attention to detail is just something like they haven't ever seen, and how they just can't believe, even on a simple Instagram post or something, they just put so much time and attention into it. And the guest was talking about how she even does that if she makes a fruit bowl salad for a family event. And the guest was saying, I appreciate it, but sometimes I just want to tell myself, like, gosh, it's a fruit bowl. Like, you can just throw it all together. It doesn't have to be laid out in this ensemble of a pattern or, whatever it is. And I remember thinking I related so deeply to that because it doesn't matter what I'm doing. I always try to do it and make it look pretty. And I was at a Brendan Burchard conference. I can't remember because I went to a Brendan Burchard conference in October of 2019, and I also went in February of 2020. So they're pretty close together, and I can't remember when he gave this example. And if you don't know who Brendan Burchard is, he is a life coach and motivational speaker. I would say, like, as far as the top coaches and most well-known coaches in the personal development industry, I would definitely say it's him and Tony Robbins. And so I go to this event, and he said, a lot of you are perfectionists. You're just doing it wrong. He was explaining how the original definition of perfect was more said as perfect, meaning to make better, meaning you had to have something out in the first place in order to perfect it, in order to make it better. So if we're continuing on with the food analogy, let's say you decide you want to make a cake from scratch. First, you have to make a really bad cake, and then you have to figure out what went wrong, what went right, and you adjust from there. And then you make another cake, and it's a little bit better. And you figure out what went right on this round and what went wrong on this round, and then you perfect it, meaning you make it a little bit better. And so we all have to start with what a lot of authors or writers would call a quote unquote shitty first draft. Because if you have no draft to perfect, you can't actually be a perfectionist. You actually have to have something in order to be a perfectionist. So that has really stayed with me for quite some time now. Like, okay, Michaela, just get something on the paper, just get something out there so you have something to perfect, to make better. And then last week, I had another huge perspective shift. I'm gonna like like when I was in film school, we had acting class, and for a vocal warm up, we did Peter Piper picked a peck of perfect peppers or purple peppers or something like that. Peter Piper picked a peck of purple peppers or perfect peppers or something like that. I feel like me using perspective shift and perfect is gonna go something like that. The Peter Piper picked that one. And so I had another perspective shift with perfect last week. And one of the things, as I've studied the subconscious mind and really healed and worked through my own trauma, I've realized, especially with the subconscious mind is so literal. Think of a 5 and 6-year-old and how literal they are. When we are that age, we actually don't have a conscious mind. We only have a subconscious mind. And that is how our subconscious mind always works, because we never lose that. We just gain a conscious mind when we turn between 7 and 8 years old. And so that is always that very literal part of us when we are that young is always in us. And so the more I've learned about this, the more I've realized this, the more nitpicky and accurate I've become with my language, because my subconscious mind is taking everything literally. And I want you to start observing this within your own life, think of the metaphors you say to yourself and think of the health problems you experience. For example, I have a friend that when she gets overwhelmed, she always says, I feel like I can't catch my breath. She has lung problems. And so, again, the subconscious mind is very literal. Knowing this, I am really working on making my language more and more accurate. And what I realized in this perspective shift that I had with perfectionism is perfect actually means everything is perfect as it is. Everything was done correctly, everything went the way that it needed to go. And a lot of times we have, if it didn't go the way we wanted it to go, we consider that not perfect, but actually the way it went was the way it should have went, the way it was meant to go. So it was all perfect. And what we're actually doing is we're mistaking perfect with flawless. And so as I've really been working on my creative wounds and I've been writing again, and I'm, spoiler alert, that I'm going to share with you, working on recording the audiobook, I realized that perfect means I'm doing it the way that I'm meant to do it. I'm doing it the way that I want to do it. Like I'm recording my audiobook just as I would record, just as I do record this podcast every week. And it's making me so happy. So is the audiobook going to be flawless? No. But is it going to be perfect? Yes. And so I just want to encourage you to play with this for the next week. Are you calling something perfect when you actually mean flawless? Are you judging something for not being flawless, but in fact, it is actually perfect? And one of the reasons that I had this insight was, and I think I shared this in a couple episodes ago, was I was listening to Alessandro from Guided Light Healing. I did use this example a couple episodes ago. And he was talking about how perfectly Source created everything. The trees know when to grow, the Source, God, the universe, the divine, whatever word resonates most with you, whatever, description you call the force, the thing that is greater than us that created life. It just knows when its timing is always perfect. And so he goes off on this monologue, and to the point where you just can't argue with him, because as he's giving all these examples, I'm agreeing. I'm like, yes. And then he stops and he looks directly into the camera because we were on a live Zoom class. And he says, and you think Source messed up on you? Huh. And he's like, you actually believe you're not quote unquote perfect. And again, we're conflating perfect and flawless. Conflating. Did I use the right word? I don't know. You know what I meant? Said it perfectly for some reason. Even if I didn't say it flawlessly, said it perfectly, And really what the goal is to gain acceptance over who we are and realize that even down to our pinky toe nail, Source created us perfectly. We are created perfectly in the image of God. We may not be flawless, but we were created perfectly. And so that's really all I have to say on this. I just wanted to offer this perspective shift for you on perfectionism and quote unquote being perfect, because you are made perfectly. You just may be beating yourself up over not being quote unquote flawless or living up to some image that you have in your mind. And so I just want you to start deconstructing that image of what you quote unquote think you should be and realizing and accepting yourself as already perfect. And the purpose of this is we want to create from a state of wholeness. And if we're constantly beating ourselves up, we cannot create from a state of wholeness. And essentially, what this ends up doing is we get things or we create things in order to fill a void. And when we do that, we're more likely to lose it because we don't feel worthy of it. We don't feel special enough to keep it or to continue to make it better. And so, really, the foundation and the other purpose of this episode is to really have us start laying the foundation that we can create the life that we are truly meant to live. The quote that I'm thinking of is, I've been quoting Lord of the Rings a lot in the show, but when, oh my gosh, of course, Elrond, I think, looks at Aragorn and says, put aside the ranger and become who you were born to be. in order for us to become that person, we have to accept and create this foundation of wholeness. And so, with that, after this episode, I actually have something very special for the show coming. I am recording the audiobook for my first book, The Barn Off of Colfax Lane. And the next several episodes is going to be the audiobook. I'm going to post the entire audiobook here on the show. And my intention and goal with that is, for me, this book is about helping people heal and helping people be seen in the darkest of moments. And I truly believe that in order to fully heal from trauma, that trauma demands a witness. And in posting the audiobook, it is for you and I to witness our traumas together and to heal together. And it's kind of funny that this episode, I didn't even plan on this or think of this. I'm just thinking of this now. It's interesting that it's not interesting, nothing's a coincidence, but it's interesting that I opened the show talking about Brendan Burchard, because it was actually Brendan Burchard who gave me this idea. He posted his audiobook of high performance habits on his podcast. And he said, because for this book, because everyone's like, you're going to lose out on so much money. And he's like, the message is the most important thing. And he's like, I know it'll pay off. I know it'll pay off. And that's really my intention with this, is to get the message out and to, again, for us to walk and witness our trauma together. So thank you for listening to this short and sweet episode of the Western Hippie Podcast. I would be so honored if you enjoyed this episode. If you have been enjoying the show, if you would rate and review the show. This just really helps me get the show in front of other people. It helps spread my message. And I'm just really thankful. And I love seeing the reviews, and I have not been very good about asking for them. So this is me asking for help, for your help, which that's something I think we all have to learn. So thank you for listening. Thank you for your help in rating, reviewing, and being a part of getting the show in front of other people. I'm really thankful you're here with me, and I'm really excited to bring you the audio version of The Barn Off of Colfax Lane. So I might drop an episode in between. I don't know. I think I should know this by now, but the book is, how many chapters is the book? 10 chapters. So for the next 5 weeks, you may hear from me, because I'm going to do 2 episodes, 2 audiobook chapters a week, Monday and Thursday. So I may not be speaking with you directly, meaning recording in real time for the next 5 weeks. I may get a wild hair at my peach, and I may decide to drop in an episode here and there to talk kind of my afterthoughts on the chapters. I think, you know what? That kind of sounds fun. We'll see. I don't know. I fly by the seat of my pants. So we'll see what my pants say on as the weeks come. So anyway, I'm actually finishing up the show now. Thank you. Take care. And yeah, Willie, Tank, and I will talk to you on the other side of The Barn Off of Colfax Lane.